Okay, on to section 2. My first word is going to be, for sure, cholecystitis. And then probably acute will be the next word. Again, I'm either going to have a combo code, or I'm going to have a couple of codes together. Again, with being the key word. So, cholecystitis, there's an acute right under that, but right before that I see with calculus stones in bile duct and gallbladder, so I need actually both of those. So the first one is bile duct, which is choledocholithiasis, which is just a couple of entries down. So choledocholithiasis with cholecystitis, which I have, acute. So I've got a 574.3. Now the only problem is that that doesn't really take into account the cholelithiasis, which is the gallstones. But if I look underneath with cholecystitis, I see the cholelithiasis. With cholecystitis, acute. So I've now taken into account the choledocholithiasis, the bile duct stones, with cholelithiasis, the gallbladder stones, with cholecystitis, acute. So you see, I have now taken into account every single term here. So I actually do have a combo code that combines all three of these. So my initial code is 574.6x. There's no mention of obstruction, so I'm assuming it's going to be 574.60. So I'm just going to double check that real quick. 574.60. It's correct. There's no exclusions. It accounts for everything, even though it mentions the gallstones, the gallbladder stones first. That's still okay, so long as it takes into account all the conditions that are listed. It is a viable code. Something else that I think might be happening is that if you're reading through the alphabetical index, especially ones that are fit on the same page. I'm not talking the vague ones like disease or syndrome or exam or things like that. But I would read entire sections, entire subsections. So like the choledocholithiasis, I could have, if I wouldn't have been paying attention, I could have actually stopped with cholecystitis acute and then tried to find something for the cholelithiasis. So it's imperative that you read through the whole entry in order to see if there's something that can be a combo code. Okay, so cholecystitis, again, this is going to be my first word. Chronic, possibly my second, although after what we just went through, it could be that this calculus in the common duct, calculus in the common duct will be second, but we'll check. So cholecystitis, yeah, there's a chronic, but I still have that calculus stones in bile duct. So now I'm going to go see choledocholithiasis, but I have no mention of any gallbladder stones this time. So choledocholithiasis with cholecystitis, chronic, is 574.4x. There's no mention of obstruction, so we're going to assume that's 0. Always double check the code. And just in case you guys are wondering, I have not been through these other than just to correct them. So I am kind of doing this real time. 574.40, so calculus of bile duct with ulnar cholecystitis, which does include cholecystitis chronic, and then there's no mention of obstruction. So that should be the correct code. And because I have it, I'm going to check the answer key, And that's the right code. Okay, next one. Biliary obstruction extrahepatic. Obstruction, I know, is going to be the first word I'm going to look up. Biliary will be the second, almost positive. And since it's the only one left, extrahepatic, potentially the third. Okay. So, neoplasm, overdevelopment, obstruction. It's kind of a big one. Obstruction, biliary. Duct, tract, doesn't say. So right now I'm looking at 576.2. The possible entries in this are with calculus, which there's no mention of it, congenital, which there's no mention of it, and gallbladder, which again there's no mention of it. So this generic code looks like 576.2. I'm going to double check that in the tabular index. 576.2, obstruction of bile duct. Yeah. Now you'll notice that there's no mention of anything that says extrahepatic. We couldn't find anything in the alphabetical index. And since extrahepatic is not another disease, then there is no additional code that goes on this. So it's just kind of an extra word that we won't be able to account for. Now, that could change in ICD-10. I don't have my ICD-10 book with me, but it'd be interesting to see if there was actually a difference between extrahepatic and not specified. Okay, so I've got cholecystitis acute and chronic, so this "and" keyword could also mean another code with cholesterolosis. So now I could have potentially two codes. So I'm just going to go left to right here. Cholecystitis is going to be my first word. And then I'm going to try the acute. And we're just going to go from there because it could go any way with that chronic and that with keyword. So I'm looking up in the alphabetical index under contact, complications, closure, cholecystitis. Okay, here we go. Cholecystitis. There is a code for acute and chronic. I don't see anything for cholesterolosis. Cholecystitis, acute and chronic with cholesterolosis. So I have then an initial code. It actually looks like this might have two codes. I'm going to check out this one first. So 575.12. Acute and chronic cholecystitis. There's no mention of any cholesterolosis. There's a cholesterolosis of the gallbladder, but that is it. So let me see if there's a cholesterolosis in the